Welcome back to another episode of Book Reviews with Ty and Fly. I go by Ty and...
Yes, Mr. Fly in the building. What's going on?
You're supposed to say I go by Fly, innit? But, you know...
Oh, yeah? Sorry. Do you want to
We
retake?
should have rehearsed that. Influence is our book this month. The Influence by The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B Cialdini, recommended to me by Mo. So thanks, Mo, for your recommendation. Really enjoyed this book. You start off, man. You start off. What do you want to say?
Influence. I mean, it was recommended by Mo quite a while ago. I remember when I think recommended to us around the same time. The book, I didn't really know what to expect because, the name, I didn't really know what to expect, but I feel my kind of views, and I think it's like a marketing book, like a sales book, sales strategy, marketing for things like marketing and whatnot. So I think it was all right. I didn't know what to expect, so I didn't have any expectations. I got into it at stages, but I didn't love it off, to be honest with you. Didn't love it off, if I'm real.
Yeah. See, I enjoyed this book. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. And one of the reasons why I enjoyed it is because I feel like I took certain aspects of it and related it to my life, whether that's personal or business life. And there were certain, influences or, what it talks about in the book that specifically related to me and my life. And I thought, oh, now I understand why that happened or this happened. And we'll go through some as we go along. But I wanted to start off just by talking about the, I don't know if you remember the jewelry store at the beginning in terms of pricing.
Yes.
Which I thought was, a nice eye opener for me because I've been working on pricing with corporate. You know me, I'm always battling with my prices with corporate.
Yeah.
And for those that, haven't read it and want to know a little bit more about, basically, there's a woman who owns a shop. She's selling a turquoise piece of jewelry and it's not selling. No one's buying it. No one wants it. People come to the shop regularly. It's a holiday destination. No one's buying it. And she tells her member of staff in a note to put it at half price. But her staff read the note wrong and put it at double the price. And it sold out. So it was just a change of price. And now that people thought that was really expensive, they were like, oh, wow, this is expensive. This must be good. Let me buy it. Whereas when it was, a standard price, people weren't buying it. And I just thought, the power of...
I think what this book does well is it explains human psychology a lot well. You know what I mean? It speaks about, because when that person done that, they automatically increased the value of the book, or not the book, sorry, of the jewelry. So therefore people thought, it costs that much. So they kind of aspire to want to have it, and it speaks a lot through that about different principles that it brings up in the book. And it's all, he refers to it as the click word sort of thing is what it's referred to. It's like, again, your psychology of things, whether there's scarcity, there's other elements in the book talk about scarcity and whatnot. People want what they can't have. So the book very much is based around psychology.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example.
Yeah. And I think I actually enjoy psychology a lot. Well, I do enjoy it, not I think. I know I enjoy it a lot. And this book helped me, like I said, it helped me understand certain things. And one of the things I took was the foolish consistency, which you might not remember specifically by name, but it was basically, if you should do this because of X, Y, and Z. So kind of, if I said to you, Chris, let's go swimming tonight, but you don't really want to go swimming. But I say, let's go swimming. You say, no, I don't really want to go swimming. I say, but Chris, you like fitness. You really like fitness. It will help with your fitness. Chris, we're friends. We haven't seen each other in a while. It will be a nice time to link up. Chris, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? And now I'm using X, Y, and Z to make you do something that you don't even do. So that was one of the things that I looked at my life and was like, when have I been in situations where I've been a victim of foolish consistency?
Yeah.
When has someone finessed me to do something that I initially maybe didn't want to do, and now I've done it? And I thought this happens to me like a lot with friends, because you know they can't convince you to do, you know, hang out with them, or you know, go to a bar or something, and you're like, today, oh no, I'm tired, I don't want to go. Oh yeah, but so and so's going. Oh, the drinks are half price. Oh, but the music, all this is
social pressures.
It's all those, you know, added things, and I'm like, but I don't even necessarily want to go. I don't want to go. But I mean, in fairness, there's sometimes where, you know, I've gone and I've enjoyed it or whatever. But then there's sometimes you go and you're like, I should have just stayed in my house.
So yeah, like I said about the foolish consistency, it's like where you kind of talk yourself into or convince yourself to do things like internally, as opposed to even it coming from an external. You see what I mean? It's funny because when I was making my notes from this book, the first note I actually wrote was when he speaks about weapons of influence.
Yeah.
And I was like, ... manipulation, question mark? Because it's like, I don't know, that's maybe why the book's kind of, I mean, I like it, but it's sales and whatnot, but it's also a bit of manipulation. And
100%.
That's where, in a sales tactic, I mean, that was the questionnaire, in that same foolish consistency one, where he spoke about the lady coming to take the questionnaire, and he was trying to impress her. So he was like, oh, you know, she was like, oh, do you go to the cinema 3 times? Yes, I do. And do you do this? He was like making out like had this lavish lifestyle. And then when it came to it, she was like, well, according to the fact that you go cinema 3 times a week, you eat out X amount, you spend this amount of money on clothes or whatever it might be, therefore, you would like our new platinum credit card or whatever it might be. So I mean, and it's like that 1 + 1 = 2 sort of thing. It was like, he was now felt pressured, I guess, and he felt like, well, I've set up this motif for myself, I have to agree to doing this. And it's, you know, so a similar thing like that. So yeah, the consistency thing is quite an eye-opener.
And like you said, this is, you know, it could be a form of manipulation, you know, the wrong person using this, you know, in all walks of life, it can be a form of manipulation. And sales is, you know, is manipulation generally, you know, if you actually think about it. I had
this conversation with someone, and I was like, good sales, if you're good, in my views, right, if you're good at sales, you're easy to be sold to. And what I mean by that is, like, for me, if I think I'm good at sales and I meet a good salesman who's genuine and who's actually trying to help me solve an issue, because if I want to go and buy a car, and the salesman's not trying to sell me, he's actually trying to sell me a legitimate, genuine car that, look, I want a car with this much engine size and whatever it might be. If he's really trying to help me solve that problem, I'm the easiest client he's gonna sell that day. So I mean, because he's actually not manipulating me, he's just giving me what I'm asking for. However, if I go in and I say, look, I want a small car, tidy little runner to get around the city, and now he's trying to manipulate me, even through this, like, say through the consistency thing, like, oh, you know, he's trying to manipulate me to spend more money so he gets a higher commission. That's not a good salesperson. And then you're gonna find it, because if I realize that, wait a minute, you're not actually trying to tend to my needs. I've done sales jobs in the past, and I was quite successful, but mainly because I would try and help them solve whatever they're trying to solve. So I think good salespeople aren't actually manipulators. You know, and when I say good, I don't mean that their records or their sales figures might not be as high as those that are using underhand tactics or whatnot. But you know, I would class them as good person.
But you see, some of those people within those sales make you feel at the end of the sale like, you know, you've left with a positive emotion, and they make you feel like your friend, or like, just because they're, do you know what I mean? They've left you with positive emotions, they've gassed you up, and at the end of the day, they've gone back to work, and you've left with a positive emotion. You've gone in there, you've got what you want, you've had a great experience, you've got everything, but then maybe you might have got an add-on that you wasn't necessarily going to get. But now you're getting the add-on because of the positive experience that you've had with that salesperson.
That's fine. That's fine.
Do you think that's fine?
Well, what? Yeah. If I've gone somewhere, let's say this now. I bought a car last year. The salesperson that sold me the car, I was happy with his service. I was happy with everything he did. So again, it goes down to the likable factor, which is in the book as well. I quite liked him, and I thought, you know what? He offered me like a few extras. I thought, you know what? I don't really need it, but you're a good salesman. I appreciate it. It's a little bit of a deal. So you say, I'll happily buy it. I'm fine with that because it's not like you give me a terrible deal and then you're asking me for extras. I'm going to tell you to go somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So
this is really interesting, yeah, because then, yeah, that comes down to what it talks about in the book, the reciprocation theory.
Yes,
It's like
yes.
you didn't necessarily want those add-ons, or didn't necessarily need those, but because you had such a good service, you felt like you needed to reciprocate that favor. Or
no, I didn't feel like I needed to. I was happy to. I didn't feel the need to.
Okay, yeah,
I was happy to, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas you didn't necessarily need those add-ons or, you know, want those add-ons. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I'm with you.
So I guess it's how you look at it, isn't it?
But it sells, isn't it? It sells at the end of the day.
It sells,
And I think because I you know, you've done sales, I've done sales, so I understand the set. Like, if I'm speaking to a salesperson, I know the deal. You want to make your sale, you want to get your commission. I know the game already. I know the rules of the game. So it's like, if you're trying to sell me something, and if you're good at your job and just helping me, listen, man, I know the deal. You get an extra 10% or whatever you get, and you're, you know, I'm happy to play that game. And I know that's me personally. I'm quite easy to sell to, if you're good. If you're not good, you're not getting nothing. If you're good, I'd appreciate. I'd be like, you know what? No, this guy or this lady's a good salesperson. Like, cool, I'll give it because you're good at your job. If you're not good, then you're not going to get nothing from me. And I know that about myself, but that's just me personally.
No, but, I mean, I would probably echo, you know, if someone's giving me a good service, I'll be happy to, you know, give something back. But not necessarily in the form of, you know, buying an add-on just because I've had a good service. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need that. So, you know, you keep that over there. I don't want that. So I was just thinking about, has there been times in my life where maybe I've been finessed without realizing that I've been finessed?
Well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't even know.
I wouldn't know. But maybe after this, I could look back and think, you know, that someone actually tricked me into.
You know what it boils down to for me is, I know sales, as you know as well, is a high pressure job, right?
Yeah.
It's high pressure. So when you make the sale, you feel as a salesperson now, it's still good. So I guess I kind of feel like I understand what this person's going through, and if I could, like, if that was me, I'd be happy if they bought the add-on or whatever it might be, or the referral or whatever you're trying to get out of them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I just give it back. I know, and the thing is, I know that about myself. I know that. So
No, that's just interesting. That's really interesting as well, because like I said, the book and it makes you think. Like I said, the reciprocation thing is like, now you feel like you want to do that.
Yeah.
Not you have to do it.
But you want to.
You want to do it because they've done something for you, which I think we'll come onto that at some point anyway.
Check this now as well. Even, I mean, the book is ultimately about sales, and he was talking about, I forget the guy's name, but the salesman, the most successful salesman. I actually Googled him. I forgot his name. I should have written it down. But he passed away not too long ago, just last year. But this guy was a car salesman, like the most successful car salesman.
Yeah.
And what he was doing, and this was way back when, he was sending, this was before like MailChimp and all that kind of stuff, you know, before you could do all this automated stuff. And he was sending cards for every single holiday. Obviously in America, they've got Thanksgiving and all the other kind of public holidays that they have. He was sending cards to all of his clients, which definitely makes them feel appreciated. It's like, this is why people still doing that now. And a lot of these tactics or these strategies, whatever you want to call them, they don't change over time. The way you do them might change, but the core principles remain the same. Yeah. So yeah, you know.
I found that interesting actually, because it was kind of like, you know, he was telling people that he liked them in the form of the cards. And I guess in that sense, you know, that's a sales tactic, I felt, because he's just sending out, you know, cards to all his clients. But then I looked at myself and thought, I haven't read this book, but I actually, you know, sometimes check up on clients and just see how they are, but not as a form of sales, just as a form of like, I'm just checking up.
Yeah.
But looking at this book, it was like, oh, right, like someone could actually think that I'm actually trying to manipulate the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about certain things within my life, certain actions. Like, I'll give you another one I wanted to come on to. because this is a deep topic, and I don't even know if I've told anyone. I might have actually told you on a random conversation, but I don't think I've told anyone this. But the bystanders, when there's a group of people, a group of bystanders, the responsibility is minimized. Like everyone's responsibility is minimized. So, for example, in the book, it talks about like some murders or some abuse that was going on an estate or something, and there was like 50 people who were looking out their windows watching, and no one called the police.
Yes.
And that's because everyone thought that someone else was going to do it. The responsibility was reduced.
Yes.
The responsibility was reduced because there was so many people. And it made me think about like something that happened to me in Australia when I was part of a football team. We had a group chat. It was like 10 of us in a group chat. And one of the guys on it, he said something mad racist. Yeah. Bear in mind, I'm the only black guy in there. Like everyone else in there is white, Australian or English. And yeah, I'm the only ethnic in the chat. And he said something about the immigrants coming to Australia, but the black immigrants. He said something, I can't even remember what he said. Yeah. And as you can imagine, I just went off in the group. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm in this group. If you think that about them, you think that about me. Like, and no one said nothing. Like, no one in the group said nothing apart from me and him. When there was banter in the group, people are engaging. But now we're in this touchy subject. No one is, no one's saying nothing. Yeah. And I just left the group. It's like, you know what? Better for me if no one's got my back.
Yeah, because they're kind of complicit. They're not saying.
Yeah, you could argue that it's complicit. Yeah. When I left the group, about 5 of them messaged me privately. 2 of them called me, like all being kind and considerate and caring and compassionate. Oh no, he's an idiot. I was about to swear. He's an idiot. Don't worry about him. Like we're still your friends. Like whatever. But it was the fact that there was so many of them in the group that no one decided to be that person and step up. Yeah. And it made me, that bystander bit made me think about that situation, because it was like, wow, no one's really got my back. But if there was maybe just 3 of us in the group, then the other person would have to say something, or not. They wouldn't have to, but
they'll feel compelled.
They may feel more obliged to say something. So that just, I found that really interesting when I looked at situations in my life.
I mean, this what I mean. It's about, the book really is about human psychology, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And it's how you can use human psychology to gain influence on people, and in this regard, to make sales. Or to influence them to make decisions that are beneficial to like your company or your organization, whatever it is, or whatever you're trying to achieve. I think that was a good chapter or good part when you're speaking about how to speak out to that one person. Like you're saying about if you're hurt in public or something, target one person out and just say, "Can you help me?" sort of thing. And I think with that is very much the herd mentality. What's happened with you? People, because I think you're right. If people are kind of like, if people start to talk up, then say, oh, wait, I'm not the only one. All right, then I'll talk up on it as well, or X, Y, Z, or those, those 4 or 5 people that contacted you afterwards, if one of them had said something in a group, or then another one, they would be like, oh, actually, you know what, I'm going to stand with Tyler and say this X, Y, Z. Then maybe there might have been people that have been thinking stuff that didn't even contact you, that would have said something in a group as well. But, it's the herd mentality.
Yeah.
Those are, and then that goes into what I was talking about, with stuff about the cell stuff, like, was it the monkey do, monkey see, or monkey see me, monkey do? Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that exact phrase, but
it's just like, it doesn't really relate, but kind of in the sense where people do, when marketers see people use real people to sell real products, then it makes it more, they'll be able to sell it more, like it'll be more successful product.
Yeah.
So even going back to you, it's like people, they mostly felt the same way. Some of them you'd hope anyway, but they never said anything. So that's insane. But you know.
Yeah. So, like I said, this book really, really made me think about life and situations where different things have happened and why different people have maybe acted in certain ways because of the human psychology that the book talks about, which I found quite interesting. The other thing, I don't know if you remember, social proof is talking about social proof, and this bit for me was mad when it's talking about there's a cult-like organization. This guy's made a cult-like organization, and he's managed to move them over to somewhere in South America. So now all these people have moved from.
You know about this, Jim Jones?
No, I didn't know. I didn't even know about this.
Okay.
So the book taught me about this. So yeah, he'd moved people over to wherever it is in South America, from San Francisco, and he's got this cult organization. There were some murders that happened, and he thought that was the end of the cult. He thought that was the end of the empire. Yeah. And he convinced everyone to commit suicide because they were part of this, and people willingly did it because they were part of this organization. And I thought, rah,
cult. To say the word.
Yeah, cult.
It's a cult, bro.
That is. I thought that was mad because it's like people. Obviously, not everyone, because there was people who ran away and escaped and thought, actually, no, I'm not doing it. But many of them did it because they were part of this organization, and I just thought that was.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. I mean, social proof, and that's what I was referring. That's it. Monkey be, monkey do. I just checked it now, and again, it's like the social pressures in that setting there with those people. It's like, well, it's the norm. Yeah, everyone's drinking this drug, this cyanide, or whatever they were drinking. Yeah, it's normal. Like if you don't do it, you're the odd one out. Do you know what I mean? And that's why the group that you place yourself within is important, because it becomes norm. It becomes a norm within that group, and then you think that's the world. You think it's normal, but it's not normal. You know what I mean? And then coming off the social side of it into the marketing side of it, this is why like influencers, like social media, celebrities, if people kind of aspire to be like them. Even they spoke about with sports teams as well. So like with sports teams, people want to get the success of their sports team. That's why people really kind of deep. They really love whether it's football team, football, boxing, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You really buy into that person. When they win, you win. When they lose, you lose. That's how you feel. Do you know what I mean? You see the passion that there's so many. We all know about this already with sport. So again, within that social dynamic, if there's someone you look to as the leader within that dynamic, or someone you aspire to be like, if they start wearing a certain item of clothing, you're more than likely to start. This is why brand ambassadors and all this kind of stuff. And again, it's all just marketing, but it's based around human psychology. That's what it's all based around. That's where it comes from. So, and again, like I think there's a thing where it says that when people are uncertain, they look to the actions of others to guide their own actions. So if they're not sure about something, but they think that, all right, well, this celebrity said that, and or this athlete said this, or this person said that, or this influencer said that. So I'm not too sure. He seems sure, so I'm just going to repeat what he said or what she said. Yeah. Or I'm going to do that way. So, it's just based around social psychology. Again, what she calls that click word example, it's just like a button. You just press like, yeah, that's what to do. Yeah, that's what we do. What's an interesting thing? The most interesting part of the book here, where was it? Was compliance for me. That and scarcity. Yeah. But the compliance thing, let me find it. Sorry, I've set one up. I want to get the name of the study. I think it was called the milligram study.
Okay.
In that study, just want to get the name.
Yeah, I didn't put compliance in my notes.
Yeah, the milligram study, that was it. Obedience to authority. Yeah. So in that study, because I know we're running out of time, so
no, it's all right. It's all right.
What they did was they got someone and said, "Oh, we're doing an experiment. All right. So this experiment, we want to see tolerance to pain or something like that." So they got someone up. You remember it?
Yeah.
That was crazy for me because it was like they hooked someone up to like an electric chair basically, and was like every time he doesn't remember, it was a memory test. That was it. Every time he doesn't remember the sequence, you have to give him a shock. So the person was in like a white jacket with a clipboard, mostly glasses, a few pencils. So you look at this person, the person of authority, scientist, you think, yeah, okay, cool. So The person is in the chair, he asks a question, he gets it wrong, you give him a little jolt. The jolt of electricity went up, up, up. I forget, it went up something like 4 volts or something like that. It went really high anyway. But the person who was getting the shots was an actor, so it wasn't real. So the experiment was really on the person, like how far would you go if someone in authority told you to do this? And so the majority of people were like shocking them all the way, even though the person in the chair screaming, please stop, please stop. But the scientists are saying, no, no, just ignore him, carry on, carry on. But that was really, that part of the book really interested me.
Yeah.
That study in itself, you know, it's like how far would you go if you're being given permission by an authority figure? What would you do?
Yeah, I thought that was mad as well. And the interesting thing about that as well was, as soon as the person of authority said stop, they stopped. They stopped giving them the shock. They said, okay, no, that's enough. They're in too much pain now. They stopped. But they didn't listen to the person who was in the pain saying stop, 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 because they were being compliant with the professor, because it was part of the experiment. Yeah, that's mad. That's mad.
It's all based on, it's all psychology. It's human psychology, you know.
Yeah.
I think in the book there's a quote where he says, like, from birth we're trained that obedience to proper authority is right, and disobedience is wrong. So that's like that's an innate thing inside you.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's like the right authority. Oh, he looks the part. He's got, you know, he's a scientist. It's his study. I have to listen to him. You know, I would like to think now. Again, we always think idealistically about things, because this study was done a while ago. Like, you know, this was quite old, I think. But I would like to think people nowadays are more conscientious. I'd like to think that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. That's just me maybe being optimistic. I would like to think that people nowadays are less, because people don't, you know, are responsible authority figures in general. When you look at what's going on in society, people are kind of fighting back against, you know, the authority. You know, you look at that. I'd like to think, but who knows? We don't know.
I think, even people that you think wouldn't push them to the limit would potentially push them to the limit. I think
even in that situation,
if I was in that situation, you know, I consider myself an outlier. You know, I feel like, you know, I go against the grain, you know, at times. But I think I would probably, in that situation, maybe be pushed further than I would if it was just me and there was no authority. Because like you said, it's innate, it's ingrained. We still, you know, listen to the police, or we still listen to people we consider people of authority. Like, if my parents tell me something, you know, I listen to them because they're figures of authority to me. So we're still compliant in our life. So it's still a thing that's internal. So I think I'd like to think I would show compassion and stop when I felt like it was enough. But, you know, I think realistically, after reading this book, I think I would be pushed higher than if it was just me making the decision. Just, I guess, trying to be truly honest to myself, like, just.
We don't know. I mean, again,
we don't know.
It's deeper than, like, you know, it's human psychology, which is a whole nother thing. But anyway, it's interesting. The study itself is, when you take it as itself, it's interesting. The other chapter that I liked was the one about scarcity. About, you know, and again, marketers know this. This is like an old school marketing thing. That's why there's sales and stuff. People want what they can't have. You know? That's why you see, and companies, they manipulate that, and they take advantage of that. They leverage that. That's why you see all the time when you go to clubs and you're queuing up outside, and you go and you wait to get inside. You go inside, it's empty. You're like, what? But you know what they're doing with the, you know, when you're releasing the latest trainers, queues from here to wherever.
They're selling a perception.
You go. So I mean, so there's nothing really, like, with this book. These principles, they're the pre-existing principles it speaks about, but it's all linked to psychology, and that's what sales is at the end of the day, which is interesting. So, you know, the scarcity one, even, you know what got me, what I liked as well, when it speaks about when you have something and then it's taken away, you're more likely to act out. as if instead of if you've had it or if you've never had it in the first place. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just what I mean, and it speaks about like things like rebellions and like when you're raising kids and stuff. I think they did the example with cookies, like chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
You know, where they gave a cookie and then they took away cookie or something like that. So things like that was really interesting because and then you look at like social uprising. When you talk, forget about fells, social uprising. There was a lot when they spoke about, you know, the civil rights movement in America, and because, you know, black people had got to a certain standard of living, and then that standard was now taken away. Education was taken away, things like that, and that's what actually brought about the uprisings and whatnot. So things like that. Again, it's all based around psychology, and that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
So those two things were did grasp me, out of the whole book.
Yeah, I found the scarcity interesting, and it's stuff that I think as well. This is comes quite natural now. Scarcity. Most of us as humans, we know that the line's long because they're trying to create an impression, or we know that people are playing a perception sometimes, or we know when it says, "Oh, last 100 items, you know, get in now." We know these are tactics, but yet we still go along with it, which brings me to another point in the book when it was saying we know about the laughing in TV shows. It's like we're watching a TV show and they make a joke and they've got fake audience laughing to enhance it. We know that's a fake crowd, but yet we still let it influence us and we maybe laugh along as well with it.
That's the thing. You don't let it. It just does.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like you say, "Oh, he's laughing now, so I'm gonna laugh." But it just opens that environment. It opens the window for you to start laughing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, even like, I know they do this. When I used to watch those rap battles.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about it, and some of these rap battles, obviously, and it's so obviously, it's like, they put plants in the audience.
Yeah.
So then, you know, it'll be like, "Oh, da 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 da," and someone's got, "Oh," and everyone just jump, and then now everyone's going, you know, to hype the crowd. It's the hype man, and with the comedy stuff as well. Even with comedians, I've got a friend who's a comedian, and he talks a lot about the right venue because you want the laughter to reverberate. Do you know what I mean? So like, comedy in the park isn't as good as comedy in a small room.
Yeah.
It isn't. The jokes might be the same, but you're not going to get that enclosed atmosphere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the laughter's not going to be on top of each other because the sound's escaping. So these are all things where I don't think, like, when you're talking about the canned laughter, they call it, or tin laughter, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
We're not laughing. We're not making a conscious decision to laugh because we've seen that laugh, but it just opens the avenue. It gets us into that mode of laughter. I think there's a clip on YouTube. I haven't seen it, but I listened to something about it, a podcast about it, and they were talking about, you know, the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
And there's a track on it. I haven't seen it. I need to find it. Where they've taken out all the canned laughter. I've heard a bit of it actually, and you're listening to it like, this ain't even funny. Like, honestly, I'll send it to you after. It's like, and like this, and I remember the joke, and it's like, and they obviously pause and like, this ain't even funny. But actually, you know, at the time when you're watching it, it's just different, and it creates that environment. Again, psychology. Yeah. It's about psychology.
Do you know what I found interesting as well? I think we touched on it briefly, was about the attachment to when we attach people to certain things.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to detach ourselves from certain things. So say, for example, I'm giving you good news. I'm personally attaching myself to that good news, and I'm happy to give you that good news. Like, "Yo, Chris, this, that, and the other. Oh, yeah, whatever the good news is, you know." But me, if I'm giving you bad news, I would detach myself, or people detach themselves from the bad news because they don't want to attach themselves to that. And one of the things I found so interesting as well was when it talks about the weatherman and how the weatherman was getting hate mail because the weather was bad.
Yeah.
I swear, I was reading that part of the book and I started busting up. I was probably laughing to myself. It's like, how are people sending the weatherman hate mail because it's raining or because it's stormy? And I just found that so like...
no, that's funny.
So stupid. It's like, people are so stupid.
And it's like, but I don't know, man. It's not even, you can't even say that because it's just like, again, that don't make no sense to me, to be honest with you, because it's not his fault. But in a weird way, I get it as well.
I get it. I get it because we want to attach it to something.
You're associated, isn't it? You associate.
Yeah, you associate it.
You associate with that. Yeah, no, that's funny. Again, this always happens. Yeah, when I like at the beginning, I was like, oh, this book, yeah, but now I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, it's actually maybe a bit better than I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, that was an interesting part, and especially about the good news factor, because I think they did loads of studies, or they reference a lot of studies.
Yeah.
So there was one where I think they had college students, to the point you were talking about, and then with the college students, they would ask them to give good news. So it was like, yo, like, like he would tell you the news like it's from him,
Yeah.
but then when it's bad news, he's properly detaching himself from how he's delivering the message.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny, man.
I think what I liked about the book as well, when it talked about the different elements of psychology, the backup, the scientific evidence it put behind it in terms of the studies. It didn't just say something and this is because it actually put a study out that confirmed that theory.
I think what I liked as well, two things was that they kind of speak about how to go against that grain. So it will say, you know, all these are the powers of manipulation, basically.
Yeah.
How to say no.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, that was at the end of every chapter.
Yeah.
That's what they said. One funny thing at the beginning, which literally made me laugh out loud, yeah, was the beginning of the chapter of the book. I forget what it was, maybe about relativity or something. I think it was. Let me just try and find it. Contrast. That was it. The contrast principle.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'll tell you that. So the girl writes a story. No, so the girl's like, "Hi, mum. Oh,
yes. This made me laugh as well. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah. So the girl's at university.
Yeah.
And she's written a letter to her parents. This book's quite old, so this is the time that people would have actually written letters, right? So she's like, "Hi, mum. Just to let you know, I fell out of a window and broke both legs, and I had a operation, and I can't walk, and I'm having a child. I'm having twins, and I borrowed I got married last week. All this, like, you're reading this again. Oh my days! By the end, it's like, actually, mum, to let you know, none of that happened. I got a C in my test instead of an A. You know, it's like, oh well, compared to all that, so the mum's actually quite relieved. Like, actually,
yeah.
So that made me laugh. The contrast principle.
Yeah. And yeah, I found the contrasting quite interesting as well. It's like when you're comparing two things, because we do it quite a lot. I think I do that quite a lot. You compare things. It's like, well, this isn't that bad because of this, or do you know what I mean? It's like even I'm at home. I'm grateful that I got my house. There's people out there that ain't got a house. That's just a form of contrasting to to help me justify my current situation. Do you know what I mean? I found that contrasting interesting. All right.
No, the principles are good, man. The principles are good. They're time tested principles. They're not really going to change over time, but the way they're used will change. You know. But,
yeah. Let's go into difficulty rating. How difficult did you find this as a read?
It was. When was this book written? And that's interesting because I felt like it was quite. It took me a while to get into it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like the language was not difficult, but it was just a bit old language, a bit old fashioned. Difficulty, I'll say a 3.
Yeah.
What would you give it?
What did you? Because Winners was a 3.
Was it?
Anyway, I think you gave Winners a 3. For me, I'll give it a 2.5 because it wasn't an easy read, but I was quite ingrained, throughout it. You know, it didn't really lose me. The thing that was difficult, the chapters are long. The chapters are very long, and sometimes I might have to actually pause reading like halfway through a chapter, which I don't necessarily like doing. But I found last month's book harder in terms of reading. Maybe I don't know if it was in terms of the length but yeah, I found this one slightly easier than last month, so I'm gonna give it 2.5.
I'll stick with 3 because I think especially the chapters were really long, but I'll stick with 3. Yeah.
What about star rating? Like I said, obviously it might have gone up now. We've been talking about it because it always does.
It always does. It started at 2, but I'll give it 2.5.
Okay,
2.5.
and I will give it a 3 because I enjoyed it. It didn't lose me throughout the book, but it was kind of just like samey. You know, where I took so many gems from like some of the other books. Yeah, I'll give it a 3. I thought it was a good read. It was worth a read for me.
I think with this book, it's like, would I recommend it to someone? I don't think I would.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're trying to do. In like for me, if you're in sales, I think this is a really good book. Because it's helped me, strategize maybe some corporate sales plans, etc. But yeah, would you recommend it to someone for other reason? Yeah, I don't know. No, actually, I wanted to, before we talk about next month's book, I wanted to just mention this book, How Do You Think, by a friend of mine called Kieran Lawrence. This is actually a very easy read. It's not long at all. It's about 127 pages. And I've actually read like the first chapter, I believe, and I've actually really enjoyed it. And if you are just starting reading and you want a nice, easy read to book, this is good, and it's quite already thought-provoking. So I'll put the link in the description box, so check that out. Kieran Lawrence, How Do You Think? And next month's book, Mr. Fly, have you got it with you?
Yes, I do.
This is your book that you're recommending for next month.
My recommendation, recommended to me by a friend rather, called Thinking in Bets. Me and a friend of mine, when I was away, we was talking about decision making, about making better decisions, and he recommended it to me, so I thought, why not? Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke.
Yeah, wicked. Annie Duke, we got a female author. Yeah, the reason we're laughing is because I don't know if we've had a female author yet. That is the 4th month, so I think that's our first female author.
Well, my next 2, this one and the one after, are both female authors.
Okay.
So
wicked. All right. Yeah, that's it. Support the ting. Remember,
yes.
Support the ting. Peace and love, and
Peace
look
and
out
support.
for next month. And also, if you're joining the book reviews, leave a comment in the description box. Let us know
also,
what you think.
What would be good, if anyone's read, obviously, it'd be good to get people's opinions. Like, if anyone's read this book, obviously, Influence, that is, or any of the other books, you might disagree with us or have a different insight. It'd be really good to hear what insights people have. So, please put in the comments.
All right. Peace and love.
Entrepreneur, Club,